Rabbi Stern, we all know how much you know about Pesach, so we have a question for you.
Okay, go for it.
Ma nishtana hayom hazeh. Why is this day different from all of the other days?
I don't know. You really got me stumped. Tell me, why is this day different from all other days? Q.
Today, we are going to tell you a very special story, a true story of a little girl and her family's exodus, and the miracle that brought them freedom in America.
So it sounds to me like you're saying that the Passover story from long, long ago is really our own story.
That's right, Rabbi Stern. The Haggadah tells us we should read the story of our people when they left Egypt. Think of it as if we were living it ourselves.
So sit back and listen to the amazing true story. Rabbi, do you know what the word Exodus means?
I better. I went to rabbinical school, but you're going to tell me, so tell me.
It means to leave somewhere so that you can go to a new place. There is a very important story of the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt.
Did you know that the story of Exodus is not our only people's story? It's the story of many different people, Jewish and other religions, from far away or close by. The Torah reminds us 36 times, once upon a time we were strangers in another land, and so we must know everyone else's story.
Why do you think that is?
Because ha'acher hu ani, the other is me, we are all connected by our stories, and since we are all students of the Torah, let's get started.
Great. Let's get started.
Far, far away in a country named Iran, there lived a boy named David.
David loved his friends and his family. He also loved playing in his beautiful hometown city, Tehran.
In a different town lived a lovely young girl named Bergie. She also loved her family and friends. David and Bergie did not know each other during their childhood.
You mean they never met?
That's right, Rabbi Stern. When David was 17 years old, he decided to go to college in London. He never forgot any of his loving family and friends back in Iran.
Bergie was very smart, and she loved studying at college, but most of all, she loved teaching just like our teachers here at Wise.
Even though David and Bergie did not know each other, and they were both in college, when it was Pesach, David and Bergie both had a Seder of their own at their own homes, and said the blessings and even sang this song.
I'm on the edge of my seat. What happened next?
David returned from the university in London to his home in Iran. When he returned home, the phone rang. It was his uncle.
David, can you please come over to my house for dinner tonight? There is someone special I would like you to meet.
David hopes he is not being introduced to a man about a job.
Okay, Uncle, I'd be happy to come over tonight.
His uncle responded,
Great, David. Be on time and wear that nice suit you wore to the synagogue last week.
David got all dressed up, and when he arrived, there was a lovely young lady waiting to meet him.
his uncle said.
David, there's someone special I would like you to meet. This is Bergie.
When David and Bergie looked at each other, something very special happened. It was as if they could see inside of each other's hearts.
You know, in Hebrew, there's a word, besher. It means destiny or meant to be together. It sounds like David and Bergie were besher, meant to be together. What happened next?
They began talking to each other every day, taking long walks in Iran's lovely countryside. David and Bergie both knew that they were in love and wanted to spend their lives together. They decided to get married. It was a beautiful wedding with lots of family and friends. They even said a prayer of our own, Dodi Li, which means Ani le Dodi v'Dodi Li.
After the traditional breaking of the glass, they sing this song of celebration.
After the wedding, David and Bergie lived a very happy life in Iran. Soon, they started a family. They had a beautiful daughter named Kathy and a handsome son named Jacob.
At this time, there was a leader in Iran called the Shah. When the Shah was the leader, everything was good for the people of Iran.
Life was good for Bergie and David and their family too. Most of all, they loved to celebrate the Jewish holidays, especially Pesach. Here's a song they used to love to sing.
coming into hand named Ayatollah Khomeini. He was very mean, just like the Pharaoh in Egypt. Soon he took over and became the new leader of Iran.
The people of Iran became very tense and worried, so David decided to be with his family in Israel.
Just like the story of Pesach and the hard life Pharaoh forced upon the Jewish slaves, the new main leader of Iran forced upon the people of Iran. We are reminded from the words of our Haggadah.
In every generation there are those who rise against us, but God, the Holy One, will save us from their hand.
Remember the picture? So when our mystery guest was in Israel, she painted this painting. And now back to the story.
Sadly, Bergie's mother passed away, and the whole family returned to Iran to be together.
Just then, a war broke out in Iran. The airport was closed, and David, Bergie, and their children were not allowed to leave the country to return to Israel.
They had nothing because everything they owned was in Israel. But because they had a family in Iran, they could stay with them.
Wow, that must have been so difficult.
That's right, Rabbi. And while they were in Iran, Kathy and Jacob had a brother. His name was Juven.
So even though they were going through such a hard time in Iran, they still found happiness.
One day, while David was working, someone in the mean leader's government lied and said that David was a spy. He tried to tell them he wasn't a spy, but they refused to believe him.
The next day, soldiers came to their house and took David away to jail. 2 months later, the mean government took away their house and everything they owned. They had nothing.
Wow, that story is repeated over and over again in Jewish history, and it reminds me every time of when the Israelites were slaves in Egypt. Do you guys know the song, Let My People Go? Yes, we do. I knew it.
When David was finally released from jail, he told Bergie that it was time to leave. He was going to make sure that his family would be safe.
First, he found a way to send his daughter Kathy and son Jacob to Austria. Kathy and Jacob were very smart and strong, and 3 years later, they were able to come to America.
Meanwhile, back in Iran, David was able to get the papers together so his family could also come to America. That day, for the first time when they met in America, they all hugged and cried and thanked God that they were safe together in a free country.
One day, Kathy and Farshad decided to look for a school for their children.
That's right, Rabbi. Did they fall in love and get married?
They even had families of their own. The family began their new life here in Los Angeles. 3 years later, Kathy received a phone call from her friend.
Kathy, can you come over to my house tonight for dinner? There is someone that I would like you to meet.
Kathy
no.
thought to herself,
Oh no, I hope she doesn't introduce me to the man about the job.
but she said,
Okay, I'd be happy to come over tonight.
and her friend responded.
Great, Kathy, be on time. And wear that nice dress you wore in synagogue last week.
So Kathy got all dressed up, and when she arrived at her friend's house, she met a very handsome young man named Farshad.
And when Kathy and Farshad looked at each other, something very special happened. It was as if they could see inside of each other's hearts.
Hey, that sounds very familiar. What's that word that you all used last time?
Share.
That's it.
One day, Kathy and Farshad decided to look for a school for their children.
They fell in love with the wonderful elementary school and all of its teachers. To this very day, Kathy and Farshad's children continue to go to this school.
I cannot imagine what the name of this school would be. Can you? Of course. Well, have you figured out who our mystery Passover hero is yet?
Please welcome our mystery Passover hero, Kathy Bostani.
And who else are we inviting? You want to say it in the microphone?
David and Bergie.
Farshad, everybody, the entire family come up. Ava, Rod. Call your cousin too. Come on up. Come on up. The entire family. The entire family. Don't sing that.
Ivu natan natan lanu et ha-shabbat natan lanu et ha-shabbat dayenu.
So, just to give you a little bit of the background information, how this all started. 5th grade, when Rod was in 5th grade, in Judaic studies, in his Dvar Torah, as part of his presentation, he brought the painting. And to this day, I remember the painting. I remember Rod's Dvar Torah. And that was the seed of the story today. So Kathy, Bergie, David, Farshad, Ava, Rod, family, thank you so much for enriching our lives and making the Passover story a relevant one for us.
Thank you, Malka. Thank you, everyone. Thanks to give us this opportunity to be part of the WISE School and this Passover program. From all this story, we learn a lot about good days, bad days, and the positive things gonna happen after all these sad things. We are here, thanks to my dad, to my mom, all the up and down. Now we are here, we are cheers, and thanks everyone. Thank you.
Wow, here's what's amazing about the Bastani story, is that every single one of us in this room, unless you have Native American, Bastanis, you can go ahead and sit down. We've had a chance to look at you and enjoy your story so much, it's amazing. Every single one of us in this room has an immigration story that's not that different. Maybe we came from Russia, maybe we came from Germany, maybe we came from Iran, maybe we came from Yemen, maybe we came from Morocco, maybe Italy. Who knows? We came from all over the world, and we found ourselves a home in this very country. And what's amazing about the United States is that when we tell the story of Passover, we have to remember that this country, the United States of America, is really what Passover is all about. This is the only country in the entire world that is made up of immigrants, almost entirely immigrants. It's the only country in the entire world that has a statue on one of its biggest harbors, in New York Harbor, the Statue of Liberty that says, "Give me your wretched poor, you're homeless, you're hungry, you're going to be free." That statue is standing there in New York Harbor, and it's telling the Passover story. It's affirming the Passover story. And so we can never forget that as much as our story is our story to tell, and we've traveled from country to country to country, that we wouldn't be able to tell our story the way we do if it weren't for this very country that we live in. And that's an amazing thing. And that's why it's so important for us to remember that just like this country welcomed us, so too do we have to welcome those who also want to be free. Because what makes this country great is all the people from all over the world who come here to live out our dreams. So almost all the songs that we sang today were Passover songs. Songs that speak about freedom, songs that speak about oppression, songs that speak about going from oppression to freedom, songs that speak about celebration for having that freedom. So when you sit at your Passover Seder and you tell our story, don't forget that it's a Jewish story, but what makes it incredibly amazing is that it also has become an American story. So to all of you, Chag Sameach, a wonderful Passover, and to our third graders, you guys are not only absolutely gorgeous to look at, but you are incredible singers and actors and performers, and you really helped to make this day just amazing.
Let's give them now a real round of applause. Now we can. A round of applause